Hi, Simon here from HobbyKing. Now, on this video, I just wanted to show the update process for the Turnigy Evolution radios. So we do have a new firmware available for this now, and this will be linked to the actual product under the Files tab, so you can get the firmware version of that and download it onto your computer. And I'll just go through the process and show you how to update the firmware. Okay, so first up, we're just going to turn on the Evolution radio. Now, if we go through the menus and just click on the little icon there and go all the way down to the bottom, and you can click on that About Evolution, and that will actually show you the firmware currently installed on the Turnigy Evolution. So if we just go back one step and then we go into firmware update, and it'll just give you a warning screen there. Now just plug in the Turnigy Evolution USB port, which I have already plugged into the computer, and then I just hit continue. Now we go over to the computer. So the file that you would have downloaded from the website, you just open up on that. There is some release notes there which show you what we've actually updated. But if you actually now click on the firmware update, and this little box will pop up here. Now I'm just going to hit update. And you can just see the progress of the firmware updating on the right hand side there. We are done. So we can just close that. Now if we just go back to the icon button there and we go all the way down to the bottom and About Evolution, you can see that we have the new version 3rd of March 2017 firmware loaded. So as you can see on the main screen, there's a different layout to the interface. We've got flight modes on there, we've got different timers, and we've got the TX and RX and telemetry pages. So we'll just go into the voltage alarms and I'll just show you that. I currently have this set up on 3S, so I have my high voltage at 12.6. The alarm voltage I can actually have lower than the low voltage, so I have my alarm voltage at 10.8 and the alarm delay. So when it is 3 seconds under 10.8, it's actually going to sound off the alarm. So now we're just going to look at the timers. So I have TRS actually on this now. So if we just go into the timer section, we can go down to TRS, and I have TRS selected, and I have that set up on 3 minutes. You can obviously reset that. You can go to the setup and change that however long you want your timer to be. Now I have a 10% deadband on the bottom end of the throttle. So when it's over 10%, the timer is actually going to start. Now I have the mode on a down timer. It can be an up timer or a down timer. So with your switch selection on the Turnigy Evolution, the switch A, switch B underneath there, and switch C is underneath there. If I wanted to assign this to switch A or switch B, I can just select that to switch A, so the reset is actually going to be on this switch here. So when I'm flying, I can fly around like that. The switch is going to, or the timer is actually going to be going. Then when I'm on 0 throttle or underneath 10%, it will stop. And then when I'm continuing flying, it will still count down. And then if I have finished flying, I wanted to reset that. I had it on switch A, and it just resets the timer. So from the main menu again, if you swipe left, you've still got your stick output there. And if you swipe to the right, you do have a telemetry page added to the menus. Just some of the features that we've added to the user experience when you go into the menus and you're actually selecting different models. So when we go in here and select a model, it will actually tell you the model name. So if you had this named as a particular model, it will show up here, where before it actually used to just come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and had no indication of the actual model name. So now when you're actually selecting, you can actually select and see which model you're actually selecting. Another feature you can see here on the top left is the flight modes. You can actually turn this on and off. So if you go into the flight modes here, now this is set up on channel 5, so you could set this up on aux1, and you've got different scenarios where you could use on your flight modes. So if I just wanted to have my flight modes on switch B, I will now have 3 different flight modes, which I can then name. You can also set up where these want to land on your signal. So at 1200, this will be in between 1000 and 2000. So at model 1, and I can rename this to disarm. So in flight mode 1, that will be my disarm. And then when I move to 2, I might want to call this air mode, and then in position 3 I might want to call that black box. I would change that higher up into the signal range. So I've just changed 3 different modes on the flight mode. So on the first one you can see I'm on disarm, then the second one I'm on arm and acro mode, and then in the third one it will be black box. And that's just one example of how you can set up the flight modes and see what all your different flight modes are. And another great feature is if you go into the output mode, then all the channel centering on iBus and SBus will actually be a plug-and-play solution into CleanFlight, Betaflight or RaceFlight, whatever you're using. So we've just updated the Turnigy Evolution firmware. I hope you have fun with the new firmware. There's a lot of new features. We're actually going to find it a lot more useful to use. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for future further updates. And until next time, see you later.